I'm Pastor Kimball, boy.
And this is our 10th year church anniversary at Harvest Springs Ministry.
Yeah!
This is my confidence.
Come on, let me see that. Your promise still stands. Your promise still stands.
A whole nother way. You must be going to answer in a whole nother direction, a different way. And when you believe God like that, you don't give place to the enemy. When you get your first no, you don't just stop and no. God, I thank you that you must have another way. You must be going to raise up somebody else. You must be going to give me favor through somebody else. So in the natural, amen, you go from, wondering how to knowing how.
And for as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and make it. Come on now, and make it. So there's a process in God. You can make him bless you.
Our Father, who art in heaven, gave us our founder, Adrian
Kennedy.
Everything is getting ready to be all right. But when you know it's going to be all right, you give God some praise. And you give him in advance. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither have.
Pastor Adrian Kennedy. Wow. It's so amazing. If any of you have purchased the book, Birthing God's Purpose, you'll hear the entire story of how we grew up together. We grew up as teenagers, got saved, got married, grew up in ministry together, and then God called him to ministry. And we moved here from Jacksonville, Florida. We moved to Georgia to begin a work. That work began July 27, 2008. And it's so amazing that it was 10 years ago. We started that ministry by faith, and it was just so beautiful to see his faith and see him step out. We moved here, didn't know anybody, and just to start out with just preaching to myself and the kids. He did it with passion. He did it with no fear and with faith, knowing that God was going to provide, and that's what God did. And just to see him grow from this minister to this elder to a pastor, and then he became an overseer. It's almost like towards the last moments of his life, the last years, he began to oversee the ministry and push me out there much more, having me preach and calling him in to have him to come and help. And he was such a coach. He was such a leader, such an encourager. And we can't celebrate 10 years in ministry without talking about him, the founder.
Pastor Adrian. I have so much to say about Pastor Adrian. But I know y'all want to hear Pastor Adrian, but I'm going to say my friend, my brother, someone who took time with me when I was off course. He wasn't Pastor Adrian, he was my friend. He rescued me when I was out and I was down and didn't know which direction to go. And people call him pastor, but I call him my friend. He took time out with me. He really poured in me, even though we ministered together, we preached together, we traveled together. We did so much together. And we traveled the highways many times together. But he always respected me. He always looked up to me, even though when I was over the prison ministry, I was over, he was under me, but still, we were still friends. And then he moved here and I became under him. And I had no problem because his love and his sincerity and his gratitude, it was just, he was grateful to be saved. He was grateful to be a man of God, and I was like, he taught us so much. He taught me so much, and how to handle your temper, how to handle your emotions and everything. I have so much to say. There's so much to say about this man of God and how he trained us both. He just didn't train her; he trained me as well. He poured into me. He took time, and we sat and cried over some things. We laughed over some other things, but he was still Pastor Adrian, but he was my friend.
We are the Kennedy Legacy.
I'm Ivy. I'm 26, and Harvest Springs Ministry started when I was 16.
I'm Amani. I'm 23, and Harvest Springs Ministry started when I was 13 years old. I'm Ahmad, and I'm 19, and this ministry started when I was 9 years old.
I'm Elijah, and I'm 14 years old, and Harvest Springs Ministry started when I was 4.
The first Sunday at Harvest Springs without my dad, it was really quiet. It was really quiet. I think I'm the only one that came. Everybody else stayed home with my mom because she was still home. I came, but I kind of came in anger. So I think I was just coming just to have an attitude with everybody because I felt like they took my dad. He never got sick, never was nothing wrong with him until he became a pastor. And I felt like the stress of everybody else's life stressed and killed my dad. So I came out of being angry with everybody. So it was really quiet. I don't even remember who preached. I think Pastor Shane preached that Sunday for us, and it was just really quiet and a lot of crying. And I really wasn't crying because I was just mad at everybody.
My first Sunday without my dad at church, it was like, okay, so every Sunday, okay, our church is rearranged now, but how it used to be, it was like chairs in the pulpit. So my mom would be preaching, or my dad would be preaching. It was always one of them, or it was somebody praying, but both of them was sitting in the pulpit. So then the Sunday that we all came back and somebody was praying, it hurt it a lot because I just seen my mom sitting in the pulpit by herself, and it didn't feel the same like me going to church knowing that my dad not here to preach, or I like really lost my dad. Like, I couldn't believe it.
I lost a piece that will be remembered at all times. And like, I couldn't function in anything. I couldn't do nothing because the thoughts could like come through my mind and stuff. So I just like prayed. My first Sunday without my dad, it was kind of like a bad dream, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't really like believe it, like that it was happening to us. And like, just like what everybody else said, like where I was mad, it felt weird, like it just felt like it wasn't supposed to be happening. It was a whole bunch of mixed emotions, confusion, anger, hurt, you know.
He was someone that took time and really put his heart into whatever he did and whatever he talked about. It just, it's so much to talk about. And it's not just Pastor Adrian to me. He's my friend. And I'm not gonna say was. He's still my friend. And I just thank God for the opportunity he gave me to have that time with him, that let him impart in my life and release the blessings of God in my life and show me wisdom and teach me wisdom and knowledge and how to handle the word of God and handle a life as a young man. And I thank God for that. He was so genuine. Whatever he did, whatever he said, he stood behind it. And it was more than ministry, it was more than being a pastor, but he stood behind every word that he said. He was a man of God. And I thank God for that.
A man of integrity.
Yes, definitely a man of integrity.
I'm grateful for everything that I learned from him. I'm grateful for all of the wisdom, the encouragement, the knowledge, and I can say that he left this earth empty. He poured himself out into us, into the kids, into the ministry. and he stood on every word, and I'm grateful to that. And I don't have any regrets. I'm grateful to God that God allowed me 25 years we were together, but 22 years of marriage, and the greatest leader ever. And I'm so thankful that he left me prepared to finish the work. Pastor Adrian.
I'll say this again. Because your meditation is the end result of what God has said to you, and it's the final portion of what I believe that God's about to do.
What have been my best moments? I've had so many. I had a lot of good moments, best moments. I think one of my best moments was right before Pastor Adrian died, and we was in the pulpit together. And I had lost some weight. I'd been in the gym exercising, and he said, "Man, I'm gonna wear my muscle shirt. I'm gonna wear me a wife beater to church one night and show you all." And he was up there flexing, and we in the pulpit like nobody else was in the church but us. And we up there just rolling, we hugging each other, talking about weights and lifting weights. And I think we had a guest speaker or something, but he just thought that was so funny. He pulled his arms up, talking, "Yeah, I'm gonna be cut. And man, we laughed. I got pictures on my phone today with that, because he was laughing so hard. And I like, "Man, stop, man. We in the pulpit, man. You acting crazy." But that was one of my best moments, because we laughed so hard about that. We laughed about that the next day, about how he said, "Man, I'm gonna get cut. I think we went out and ate dinner right after that, So that was one of my good moments, best moments I had in the ministry. That was real good.
I think I have so many flooding through my head right now. But I think one of my best moments, I would say, that I've had in the ministry, if I would go back, 4 years later or 5 years later, I would say when we acquired this building. It was finally that we were in a place where we had our own parking lot. We had our own space. We didn't have to share it with anyone because prior spaces, our first space, we did have our own parking lot, but there was a business next door, and then the other church as well. We had our own space, but there was another church, so we were dealing with the parking issues, the noise issues. But to come in here and to sign our name on a dotted line and to be the owners of this building and to have our own parking lot, I have a picture of that when he signed, Pastor Adrian signed the documents to be the owner of this, and to see, even he was not feeling well in his body, but just to see that smile on his face, like finally we got something that belongs to us. That was one of my greatest memories that I had of this building in this church.
That's good. That's a blessing. And I think people don't really understand having your own. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. When you can sign your name on a ministry and say, "Look what God have done," that's a big step.
Yeah, big step.
Big step.
Felt great about it.
Yeah, that's good.
The funniest moment in ministry was when we first started out. We were at the hotel, and LaJuan kept being bad, and my mama just got my daddy belt, and started chasing him around the whole hotel. It was beating him in front of all the church people. She was just beating him all. He kept running all around, and she chased him to the truck. You don't? Oh my God, he got beat down in front of everybody.
I don't know. Probably every time my grandma get up and get the mic.
Yeah.
Cause she be talking forever.
And you never know what she's gonna say.
She ain't got no filter. Whatever come out of her.
I was getting married, and she goes, "I didn't know she was gonna get married because she like men."
She love her some mean.
Why would you say that? In front of all these people.
So anytime she grab the mic, so imagine over 10 years.
What she said.
Mother, can you pray for the son? Lord Jesus, can you heal this little Johnny? I know all about it because he goes to how to pray daycare. I see the boy in the kitchen. He can eat.
One of the most fun times over the years in ministry for me. Probably, I don't know where we was, but they was playing football, right? And my mama, I guess she had ran one of the kids over or something.
Yeah.
Never playing football. Or another fun time was it was a Wednesday night. You know, a lot of people don't come to church on Wednesdays because they work, school, and stuff like that. Everybody come to church on Sundays. So this one particular Wednesday, Pastor Boyd was like, you know what? Everybody who here, I'm finna take y'all out to eat. And he took everybody out to eat. And we ate. Yep. That was a fun time as well. You know, nobody expected it. Everybody expected to come to church and hear the word, but we ended up going to eat. So, that was a fun time too.
Well, my best time in ministry was we went out to eat and we fellowship, got to know, like, we had visitors and members coming and we like fellowship, got to know each other and stuff.
Most fun time was at our first building when like church like first started. But like we from Florida, so we don't really get snow, like, and you don't see.
From Henry County.
No, I'm from Florida, so you don't see snow in Florida. Like you get lucky, but I don't know how to put that. But we at church, and somebody had to go get on the phone outside. They came back in, and it was like snowing, but it was during like dismissal at the end of church. So then it got to like my dad, and my dad was like, "Oh, it's snowing." He's like, "I want everybody on this side of church to go over there, and everybody on that side." Then he sent one section out, was like, "Go get y'all snowballs ready. We finna have a snowball fight." So then my dad was just talking. He was acting like he was talking, and then he picked up a snowball out the car and hit somebody and just ran, and everybody just started throwing snowballs in the parking lot. That was fun.
Okay, good.
No, you're right. You go first.
You gonna remember?
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
So I have one. We were at our first building, which was on Highway 138, and this lady came to church, and she had on her Catwoman suit, and I was like, yeah, praise God, because that doesn't move me. I believe that God is going to send people, from all walks of life. So I'm not distracted, I'm not intimidated, I'm not moved by what I see. But what happened was, because my daughter, hallelujah, was still a little rough around the edges, and God was still dealing with her when the lady came in and she needed prayer. And so my late husband and I, we were praying for people. And this lady, she didn't want me to pray for her. She wanted him to pray for her. And so she waited on him to pray for her. And when he prayed for her, she fell forward. She fell forward, and my daughter grabbed her by the back of her shirt. And it was like, oh my God. I didn't know whether to laugh. I didn't know whether to pull her away. But that was the most awkward, funniest moments ever, because it's like to see her just like, let me get her away from my daddy. It was just crazy. It was crazy. Some people in the church, they'll remember that. That's really funny. That was really funny.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
What's yours?
Oh, man. We was in a revival, and we had a guest speaker come in, and he was preaching, and he's asked his wife to come up and share a couple of words. And she gonna go off into prophecy. And she called Abby and Monty to the front and asked them, talking about they was husband and wife, and they was brother and sister. And she went on down the road prophesying to them, telling them what God said the Lord. And my daughter and son looking at each other like, this woman is crazy. We are brothers and sisters. Oh man, everybody in the church, you can see everybody like, oh my God, she is so far off. She don't know she off. And nobody wanted to say nothing, but we all laughing at this. I like, she missed it. And then she didn't know how to get out of it. And it was just, everybody in the church was just going in. You can see everybody smiling, want to say something like, how they gonna get out of this? How she gonna get out of this? And it was crazy. We laughed so hard at this thing. I'm like, oh my God.
The past 4 years, I would give my expression of how it has been for me. I would say the first year was intense. I think we we were building a foundation together. We were trying to find our way as a couple, as well as leaders. We've worked together in ministry before, but not as husband and wife. So the first year we were just trying to figure things out and seeing what worked, what didn't work. And it wasn't challenging for us because it was easy to discuss things that, well, I don't like this, or you should do that. And so the first year was a lot of trial and error, trying to figure out what works for Kimball and Nikki. And then the second year working together was much better because now we had our rhythm and we were seeing how things were flowing between the two of us. And then the third year I think was much greater because now we were husband and wife. And so things that I probably didn't feel comfortable with talking to him about, not just as a wife, but as his pastor, by the third year, it was much more comfortable and easy to talk to him about. And so the third year was pretty good. And I would say the fourth year, we are in July. So November will be 4 years, but I would say this year has been awesome. We've learned and developed so many different strategies on how to work together as a team, and even as it relates to outreach, with me doing a lot of traveling and being able to rely on him to still carry the torch while I'm gone. So the fourth year has opened up a lot more doors for us, not just husband and wife, but as pastors.
Yeah, that's good. And for me myself, I just think that first year was a struggle. We was learning our position, learning each other still, and in the absence of of our founder, we were both were still grieving and trying to figure out, and people leaving the ministry and saying it was with you, but we were just trying to figure it out. And that was the first year was so hard, and there was a struggle trying to find your identity and fit in as a church and a growing church and trying to rebuild. And it was my first time being a pastor, so I'm trying to learn my direction of what my position is as a pastor. But it was good, and we learned a lot. And then the second year, I think we started to gel a little bit more. We started to gel together and work a little together and say a little more, come out a little bit more, being more real with each other, more clear and more, being more truthful with things, not holding back. And I think we started building a ministry then. I think that second year we started to really build a ministry. And the third year we started gelling for real. It was a blessing. We was moving forward in life with each other and everything. And I think we experienced so much in those first 2 years. That third year together, I think we just took off as a husband and wife, and we started building each other, not just ministry, but we started building each other. So I think that was a big thing. I think we found our place with each other where we can rely on each other, trust each other through the process. And going to the fourth year, we had been traveling. We went out of the country a couple of times. We did our little bit of rendezvous trips and hideaways. So I thought we just started building trust each other as a marriage and a husband and wife more than pastors. I think we had that respect for one another as humans and husband and wife. And I think that built a marriage up so we can operate as pastors. So I just think the fourth year, we're in our second half of the fourth year. And we're going to do some work. And I just see God doing great things. I love you, babe.
Love you.
Well, I want to share how it was for me coming in and up under a woman pastor, and all the tradition, but coming behind you, how men don't want to submit to a woman, but it's not about, to me, it wasn't about that. For me, it was more coming up under my best friend's vision.
That's good.
And I was supporting the vision, and I didn't care who was over the vision, as long as we were going to push the vision. And just so happened it was his wife, and she took over, and I came in to be submitted to the vision and to her. And I didn't have a problem with it at all. I was coming to make sure the vision kept going forward. And I didn't mind submitting to her. Whatever she told me to do, I was willing to do it because I'm a laborer, I'm a worker. So I came in working, and I believe in workers can get the job done, and that's what I did. And I enjoyed it. It was no problem with me at all, submitting to her leadership. She rebuked me. She get on me. I said, yes, ma'am, and keep on going and keep on going forward. I didn't have a problem with it. And today, I still don't have a problem. She says something I'm not doing right. She tell me I correct it. And my job is to build a ministry. And whatever I can do as an assistant pastor or a laborer or worker to help her make this thing go forward, we're going to do that. I don't have a problem with it. I've never had a problem.
One of my worst moments since being in ministry, I would say, especially other than the loss of the founder and my late husband, I would say we started a daycare in this beautiful building we had off Technology Parkway. Oh my God, I love that building. It had so many classrooms. It had a full kitchen. It had several offices, and it was the best. But it was next to another church, so of course it wasn't some place that we wanted to, lay our foundation. But the worst moment I had during that time when we were there is where my late husband got sick, and I got laid off from work, and the daycare was not progressing like it started out, and so we fell behind on our rent. We fell behind tremendously, and so many times we get caught up, we're raised, because a lot of people don't know it, but when people are not tithing and they're not giving, then it falls on the leaders, because your name is on these bills and you are responsible. And at that time, I didn't operate in the faith that I have now. I've always had faith, but I have a different measure of faith now. But during that time, it was just so consuming to try to keep up financially when the ball was being dropped. You definitely can't go into ministry expecting the members to pay the bills. There has to be a stream of income from somewhere else to help keep the ministry afloat. And I would never forget when we got served eviction papers. A lot of people wouldn't even talk about that, but I'm here to tell you. Listen, that moment to get those papers and to have to stand before the congregation and let them know that we're going to have to move temporarily until God repositions us, because financially it was just becoming a major financial strain on us. And I think it took us, there was no pride whatsoever. We didn't feel like, we're going to be embarrassed or anything. It was honorable to be able to stand before the people and let them know. And we showed them the finances. We showed them where everything was going. We showed them where we were coming short at every month. And although they saw it for themselves, the leaders did, it still was not a good place to be in. It didn't feel good at all to have everything packed up in a certain amount of days to be moved to a temporary place until God repositions you. So from that place, we went to a smaller place, which was a event center, where we would have to pack up every week, every Wednesday, every Sunday. We have to set up, we have to break down, and to do it every week. It was taxing, it was frustrating, but during that time, God allowed us to rebuild, and He allowed us to look at ministry in a different way. Although it was one of my worst moments, but I think I got the greatest teaching, and my faith from that point went to another level.
That's good, man. That's good. I think one of my worst moments was knowing my wife, Pastor Nikki, is trying to hold the ministry together, and everybody saying, "I got your back, I got your back, I got you, we support you." And I think I walked into the service, and we had got here a little early, and people started to come, but it wasn't about 5 people showed up. And to get in the pulpit and watch her pour her heart out, and it's only 5 members, 5 people. Everybody left. Everybody saying, "God, lead them, go somewhere else." All of a sudden, you said you got this woman's back, you got the pastor's back, he's passed on, and now she's left. And I walk in here and see this. And to hear her heart, and to see her, watch her preach through the pain, to watch her preach through all the rejection and the shame and the hurt, and to sit up there and watch this, and I can't do anything. I can't go up and console her and hold her and say, "Hey, no, bump this, let's get out of here." I couldn't say that. I had to watch her and pray her through this situation. And I never forget, I watched her, and I could feel her pain. I could feel the hurt and the loneliness, and it's like I could feel her want to run out this church and just leave and say bump everything. But she stood there and she preached the word of God. She stood her ground and she turned around and looked at me and nodded her head like, we're going to go on with this. And to feel that pain and that hurt is just like, man, like I'm like God was taking it from her and putting it on me.
Wow.
And said, you take it for it. You handled it. This is what's going to happen in the future. You're going to have to carry some stuff like this. And that was one of my moments that I felt like that was my worst moment because I felt useless. I couldn't do anything, but I had to let her stand there by herself.
Wow.
And fight this battle. And that's one of my worst moments.
Wow. These feathers, oh my God. Listen, after Pastor Asian's transition, I would wonder if I would ever have a visitation and stuff like that, but I was scared. I didn't want him to come stand at the foot of my bed, or I'm in the shower and he pops up, you know, all this crazy stuff you see on TV. I was hoping none of that never happened to me, but I did want to just maybe hear his voice or feel his presence. And God allowed my family and I to start receiving feathers. And a lot of people think, oh, you guys are making that up. But supernaturally, things like this does happen. And our first time that we received one of these feathers was when I was in Houston, Texas. We were there, myself and my 2 older kids, and we were there for our first family conference. And I'm just laying there on the sofa in the room, and one of the feathers just started drifting out of the ceiling, just drifting right on my face. And that was the very first one. And after that, my daughter received one, my son received one, my younger son. Everybody started receiving, my mom. And it would always happen at a time where maybe I needed assurance that, you know, is God with me? What would Pastor Adrian do with this? You know, would he think I did well, or how would he feel? And that's when we would get them. My second time I received one was my first time back preaching after his transition. It was on his desk in the office, and it was always like his way of saying, job well done, or I got you. And it was so funny, everybody in the family was receiving feathers, and now I'm married, and then the feathers stopped coming. I'm like, okay, so I'm married now, I don't get any more feathers. And then Pastor Boyd was like, hey, hold on, everybody's getting feathers but me.
I like to say, everybody getting feathers. My daughter got a feather. My mother-in-law got a feather. They get my son got feathers. I'm trying to figure out what the feathers at. I said, hold up, bro. Hold up. Now, if you're going to get them feathers, I need a feather. I got serious with that thing. That thing touched me. I'm like, all these people get everybody. Look what I got. Look, I got a feather. Even my grandbaby got a feather. And I'm like, hold up, bro. What about me? I'm starting to feel some kind of way. And you upset with me? Or did I do the wrong thing? Or did I do nothing? So I got a big picture in my closet with him against the wall. I went in there, I started talking to that picture. I said, hold up, bro. Let me tell you something. I need a feather. And I want one. I want a feather. I don't care how you gotta get it here. Ask God, Jesus, Holy Ghost, the angels, somebody to bring me a feather. I'm not playing. And I talked to that picture like he was there for real. And I'm just laughing, I'm talking. And I said, okay, you hear me? You got that? And I walked down and said, hey, okay, cool. And I walked down, I laughed myself. I got serious at that picture. I'm like, I want my flower, I want my feather. And so I left off like that. I said, okay. I think my wife was eavesdropping on my prayer life. And I was arguing with this man because I wanted a feather. I felt out of place. So I think about a couple of days went by. I think I mentioned it a couple. I think somebody got one after that. And I got serious now. Like, hold up now. I'm starting to question God. Did I do the right thing? Everybody's gotten feathers. Like she needs some encouragement, she get a feather. The kids need encouragement, they get a feather. I need to be encouraged. I done took on this responsibility. I'm believing God and work this thing out. Now I don't get a feather. So I'm starting to second guess what I've done. I'm trying to think about this thing. I think 4 days went by, a week went by, and all of a sudden, a big old feather. It was like, well, I started jumping like a little kid on Christmas, boy. I got a feather. And boy, couldn't nobody tell me in that house, hey, I got a feather, and mine the biggest one. I got a big old feather. And I took it and I put it in my ring case with my ring. I take my ring off every day, but I put the feather in my ring. And that's just, to me, my personal connection with him. Saying, I took this oath for you and for your family. And anytime that I feel that I'm not right, you lead me. You teach me, you guide me. This is our connection. I ain't talking about nobody else. I don't know how nobody else do their thing, but this is me and your connection, bro. This is how we communicate. And that's I put, every time I take my ring out, I put the feather in my ring. And it's been doing it ever since. That's my boy. That's my boy. I got my feather. I got my feather. I got my feather. I'm ready. The vision. The vision for the next 3 years for Harvest Springs Ministries. I think we're moving so fast. I think God's really setting us up for this next 3 years. He's bringing the people. The vision is to really launch out on another level as men in ministry, to really get our name out there. We really haven't really pushed our name the last couple of years. We're just trying to find our footing in ministry and find our place in ministry. We're trying to stay in our lane. We're not trying to meet nobody else or compare nobody else. We're trying to stay in our lane. And I think because of that, it takes a little bit of time to really find your place and what direction you really want to go into, because you can have a tendency to follow other ministries or lean to this ministry. Are they doing this? And let's see the work. And I think God right now, God has given us our focus and our direction. And these next 3 years, we believe God is going to use us to raise up other preachers and other leaders out of this ministry, and we will be a great impact in this city. Not just in this city, we're going to start a prison ministry back up. We're going to do a lot of nursing home ministry. We have a nursing home going now, but we're going to do more of that. And we're going to really get out and hit the streets, more evangelism in the streets, in the neighborhood and everything. Really get our name out there for these next 3 years and let people know who God is, who Jesus Christ is. And I think what we're doing now, we're on track. We're on track for this second part of this year. We got a lot of things in store. And I just see the vision next 3 years going to be very, very awesome. And getting people trained and getting people out there in the streets to witness and serve the Lord. And I think this next 3 years will have a lot to offer.
The vision for the next 3 years for Harvest Springs for me would entail finishing some stuff that we didn't get to finish. For instance, we have launched the Legacy ALC Heart Awareness Foundation. And every year, every October, we do a big event where we are educating people on heart failure. So the next 3 years, I would like to have an actual location where this is not something that we do every year, but it will be a facility for some people to come to weekly, maybe set up appointments where they can get education. Family members that have just been informed that their loved one has heart failure. We want to be a place where they could come and get the information and education as needed. I don't want to have to wait until every October to do it, but I want to have something readily and available for them year round. So the next 3 years, I see us having a facility in order to be able to educate families with heart failure. The other area that has been dearly on my heart is shelters for women and children. That's that's a passion of mine. So much so I always have someone living with me because it's just a passion of mine. 10 years of ministry. It has been an amazing journey. It has been a trying journey. It has been a journey well worth going. Let me tell you something, people and saints of God, even those of you men and women in ministry, if you have been in ministry and you seem like things have been going up and down, don't worry, God has greater glory for you. And for those of you that have lost loved ones, don't worry, God has greater glory for you. If you would just lift your hands right where you are and shout out, God has greater glory for me.
Come on.
Yes. God has greater glory for you. In this next half of this season, we are at the second half. Watch out, God is getting ready to turn the tables, and it's getting ready to turn in your favor. Greater Glory 2018.
2018. And to all y'all that's watching and this have touched your heart, don't give up. Stand. We are your living testimony. If God can do it for us, he can do it for you. Don't give up, no matter how hard it gets.
Yes.
He said, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God shall deliver you out of them all. So don't panic. Don't throw in the towel. Every shift, there is a promotion.
That's right.
So wait on your promotion. It's because the shift is making you move forward in God. Amen. Love you. Stay encouraged. Keep your head up. It's all